Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Vāsudeva. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vāsudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vāsudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vāsudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator of the Bhakti Center, New York, Vāsudeva Das. Welcome to the show, everybody. It is Thursday, winding down the week. Trying to figure out how I'm going to do this weekend. I'm like a quick in and out of California for my good friend's son's wedding. I'm not even going to my friends' weddings anymore. I'm going to my friend's children. That's the next sign in your age, isn't it? You're going to your friend's kid's wedding.
Right, you're like one of the elders there.
One of the elders. Wish them good fortune and blessings. How are you?
I'm doing great, Raghunath.
All right. What's up with you, Miss Mara? You got some announcements here? Spinning the dials here back.
Good morning. I do. We have Back to Your Recovery group meeting today at noon and an asana class tomorrow with Josh Kane for our Patreon members at 10:30 a.m.
Josh Kane has a little cult following, it seems.
Cult, you say?
Cult. Yes, cult. I'm a cult aficionado. But check out Josh Kane, especially if you're a Patreon member. Otherwise, you can't check it out. Unless you go to his studio in Connecticut. But check it out. Patreon members or people who want to support us. You give anything you like. You give from your heart. And then you get into a vault of other videos, yoga classes, workshops, etc. It's really nice, actually. People love it, and people like to support us. And so thanks. And if you're giving already, thank you very much. Double it. I just like saying that. I like saying it. Double it.
I don't like.
How many rounds did you chant today, Vāsudeva?
Myself? So far, 0.
Yeah. Don't double that.
Double 0.
Double 0. I was trying to just say double it again, but it doesn't work with 0.
Yeah. All right, let's get into this.
My life shifted when I became a yoga teacher. If you want to learn how to teach yoga, join me, Cindy, and Bobby for a 200-hour Bhakti Yoga Vinyas. It's like an immersion. It's like a 16-day immersion. You get to hang with us. You get to live at the farm with us. You get to eat with us. And you get to breathe and sing and move with us. That's at Super Soul Farm. Go to my link in my link tree on my profile at Raghunath Yogi. That's July 13th to the 28th. It's going to be good.
You ready?
Ready for the nuggets? I
am. Who's it from?
This is from one of your friends and mine, C.S. Lewis.
Oh, yeah, C.S.
A very thoughtful Christian man.
Okay. You were
thought out of the box.
You were expressing your readiness for interfaith dialogue yesterday, I think, right?
Was I?
Yeah, or interfaith monologue.
Yes, thank you. Here he said, I find myself, this guy, if he died and didn't go back to some higher planet, he went right. He became a devotee in this life. If I find in myself a desire which no experience in this world can satisfy, the most probable explanation is that I was made for another world. fulfilling desires don't satisfy us. They satisfy it for a moment. Like when you blow on a flame, the flame goes down and then the flame gets higher. Then you want it more. In none
There's
of
more to this nugget. Did you see that?
Yeah, I'm going on. Ready?
Okay.
In none of my, I was just giving my commentary and
Thank you.
purport.
Thank you.
If none of my earthly pleasures satisfy it, that does not prove that the universe is a fraud. Probably earthly pleasures were never meant to satisfy it, but only to arouse it, to suggest the real thing. We always talk about this, the real and the shadow.
As soon as he goes there, he's talking like illusion and reality, that this world is illusory in a sense, but there's a real world that this is a reflection of. This is
part of something real. Yeah. If that is so, I must take care, on the one hand, never to despise or be unthankful for these earthly blessings.
Very insightful right there, because he's there. He's speaking to that religious tendency to criticize, right? Like, in other words, if I accept that there's something beyond this, then I just become hypercritical of everything within this world and everybody within this world. No.
I thought I was leaning more towards his desires. Like, I don't want to hate sexuality. Sometimes you find that in people who are trying to control it so much they have to despise it. That's not where we're going either.
Yeah, I think what you're saying is tightly, linked to what I'm saying. Whether it's like, in other words, let's say sexual desire. I might hate it in myself. I might hate it where I see it in other people. Either way, that's that becomes my religious hang up. Rather than, like, I can actually see that element in the world and understand, that's a reflection of something else, right? That's a reflection of something, and it's a warped reflection of something. Let me find that original Adi Rasa,
The Adi Rasa, I like that.
Yeah.
Probably Earth. Taste. Yeah. Let me see.
Not to despise it.
Not
or be unthankful for it.
Probably earthly pleasures were never meant to satisfy it, but only to arouse it, to suggest the real thing. If that is so, I must take care, on the one hand, never to despise or be unthankful for these earthly blessings, and on the other hand, never to mistake them for something else, of which they are only a kind of copy, or, this is a good one, echo, or mirage. Okay. Mirage appears to be real. You don't hate the mirage, right? The mirage. It's not like the mirage is nothing. There's a mirage there. It's not what it appears to be. That's what Maya is. Maya, right? Maya means it's something. It's just not what it appears to be.
In every case, right? Whether copy, and I mean this goes on to take further meaning in modern day, where you have like photocopying or
fool's gold.
Well, I'm not talking about fool's gold. But even fool's gold is like, fool's gold is meaningless without gold, right? A copy is meaningless without the original. It doesn't exist without the original. An echo doesn't exist without the original sound that is echoed. A mirage doesn't exist. Like, I can't see I can't see the mirage of water on land without having first seen water to arouse me. Oh, there's water there. So in every case, he's getting to, for all I know, he had no. When did C.S. Lewis live? It's like
Mare's on it.
Yeah, we need this. Was it like 19th century or something like that? I assume.
It was pretty recent. Oh, look at that. That's what he looks like. He's born in 1898. Ever imagine someone's going to look totally different? He looks totally different than what I thought he was going to look like.
So he may or may not have had exposure. I mean, he probably had some exposure to Eastern teachings, I suppose, being in England and being an intellectual and so on. But in any case, when he speaks in this way, maybe unintentionally, but he's really, in a sense, echoing, right? We can find that the parallels to the Eastern teachings, where we get where it's said that this world is illusory, but in what sense? Like a mirage, like a reflection, right? This is a key to understanding the universe. So here it is in his Christian tradition. we're getting it from our Eastern tradition, that the things that we're striving for in this world, they may give some little satisfaction, and then it goes.
Mm-hmm.
And the deeper thinkers are saying this isn't the real thing. The even that's stirring within me isn't what needs to be extinguished. I just need to find the real way that it's satisfied. So he's saying, if I find, he's giving a logical argument too. He's saying, he's kind of saying that desire doesn't exist without the fulfillment of desire. The two things go together. You can't separate one from the other. Right. So if I desire eternality must exist. Maybe not in the realm that I'm in, but it must exist. You know, if there's hunger, there's food to satisfy hunger. If there's cold, there's warmth to protect one from the cold. You know, whatever desire exists, it must exist with the corresponding fulfillment of that desire. So if I'm desiring lasting happiness, it must exist. If I'm desiring eternality, it must exist, etc. It may not be an argument to convince a skeptic,
Sure,
but it's an argument that serves as food for thought. You know?
Yeah.
All right.
Yes, it's fully satisfied my desire for food for thought.
Okay.
Okay.
You ready?
You ready for the Srimad Bhagavatam?
I am.
Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudirayat. Before we start in the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vāsudeva, the author. Nasta prayeshva bhadreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati uttamashloke bhaktir bhavati naishtaki. By regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated, and loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chaksurun Midatam Dena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My teachers are opening my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my obeisances at their lotus feet. You ever feel like, yes, another day, Srimad Bhagavatam? That's how I feel today.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Do you remember where we are?
Canto 5, chapter 18, text 13.
Do you remember who's speaking? Not 15 though. I think we're on like 12 or 13. 13.
I said 13.
Oh, I thought you said 15. Yeah. Sorry. Who's speaking, Raghunath? Come on, you got it. You remember.
I don't remember.
Sri Prahlad.
Oh, Prahlad Maharaj is speaking these key, powerful verses, but it's a different Prahlad. It's older Prahlad.
Yeah, I assume, right? Yeah, he's now heading up. It sounds like he's heading up a colony of demons, you know, like in other words, people born in the dynasty of the demons, right?
That's us. We're born the That's a great name for a band. Dynasty of Demons.
Well, I suppose for one of those dark metal bands.
Norwegian death metal.
I saw some meme the other day that it showed like some beautiful lake surrounded by mountains on and it said something like this is where the guy that's writing the Norwegian death metal songs lives, right? He's like, where does he get all this stuff from? But any case, Prahlad, no, but he's on some realm within the universe, some planet where the descendants of the demons live, and he's a descendant of the demons himself, right, of the Asuras, but he's a pure devotee of Lord Vishnu, and so he's sharing his insights. This chapter is traveling throughout the universe and hearing the prayers of the different leaders, of these different areas. Next, who's going to come next, Raghunath? Who we're going to hear from next?
Who?
Lakshmi Devi.
Ooh.
Yeah, she's got her insights, and her prayers. Hers are very interesting, as are Prahlad's. And we were saying just these 8 verses or so that come from Prahlad, boy, they're rich with info. And he continues here. He's got something interesting to say. He's got 2 more verses to wrap this up.
Ready? Text 13. Just as aquatics.
Aquatics.
My kids make fun of me when I say that word, aquatics. I say
You have
aquatics.
some fish in your home now, Raghunath, too. I've seen
Yeah, I have some aquatics.
little aquarium there.
Yeah.
But your
Just
daughter's
as-
going to set them free, right?
Yeah, she saves them from the fish store and then she puts them in the pond so they can get killed by turtles.
All right.
It's a cruel world, isn't it?
One way
Just
or another.
as aquatics always desire to remain in the vast mass of water.
Mhm.
All conditioned living entities naturally desire to remain in the vast existence of the Supreme Lord. That's
Okay.
natural.
Yeah.
That's great. Therefore, if someone very great by material calculations fails to take shelter of the Supreme Soul, but instead becomes attached to material household life, his greatness is like that of a young, low-class couple. One who is too attached to material life loses all good spiritual qualities.
Yeah, there's a lot here to unpack.
There's a lot there.
Okay, so we can let's take care of a few things first. I think
I like
sometimes
the idea of, it's that fish out of water. No matter what we get in this world, right? No matter what the fish gets out of the water. It's such a good analogy. You could take them anywhere, any wonderful place. Take them to Europe. Take them to the Amalfi Coast. Take the fish with you in your
the Amalfi
arms.
Coast might work.
No, but not in the water. He's just
on the
hanging
coast
out
is the
on
problem.
the beach.
Okay,
sitting at one of those tables on the Amalfi Coast overlooking the sea. And you bring him fine food and bring him to a movie or the theater. The problem is, no matter what you offer that damn fish, he will never be satisfied. He'll never be grateful. He'll always be reading self-help books. Why can't I be satisfied and peaceful? How could I finding joy, right? Why do bad things happen to me? I'm a good fish. I'm a good fish. You know why bad things happen to you? Why you're depressed on a regular basis? You know why you're melancholy? You know why you need to take drugs to forget about the pain of your existence? You're a fish. You're meant to be in the water. Get back in the water. The water is our spiritual existence. That's why coming to a satsang, sitting around, hearing Hari Katha, simple chanting of mantras, having a kirtan, those things actually satisfy the soul. Why? Because that's what we are. That we are spiritual beings. We're meant to be part of a spiritual culture, or else we're going to have lots of these self-help books that won't actually even help us unless we are connected to our spirit self.
Now, we ended yesterday with this really important verse that it asks this question, right? That more or less it asks, like, can someone who's not, I think the word even used was abhaktasya, someone who's not a bhakta, someone who's not a devotee of God, can they have any good qualities? And it was kind of saying, no, they can't. And
no.
we spoke about that. And we spoke about that in some depth yesterday. But we said they can, in one sense, they could have good qualities, but in a more substantial way, no. Because whatever good quality they might have, we mentioned compassion, for instance. If this reflection of compassion that I have, right, is limited by my mental programming to be focused on a very limited group of people, then we can't truly say that I possess the quality of compassion. I'm just kind of like have some reflection, something compassion like for a small group of people, right? And so we heard about what it means to be a great person. But if you are connected, all the good qualities of the demigods, they arise in you. Right, because they're within us, because we are made of God's energy. Naturally, those are our qualities, but they're just kind of hidden as we move through this illusory world, and we disconnect. So here it's saying, just as fish, they naturally desire to be in the water. That's their natural connection. That we naturally, here it phrases it, we desire to remain in the vast existence of the Supreme Lord. We desire to have that loving connection at every moment. When we turn from that, we're searching for the same things in the reflection, right? We're trying to find it here. We're trying to find it there. We can't find it. And the reflection here that he mentions, Prabhupada translates as material household life. All right. Sometimes Prabhupada will throw us a bone here and throw the word material in front of the household life. Right?
Thank you, Prabhupada.
Yeah, okay.
Because
A little qualifies it a little bit for us, makes it a little bit easier pill to swallow. But we were saying yesterday, remember, Raghunath, we said that when we hear of family life being spoke about in these negative terms here, that what we should hear is affection that's limited to one's own family, community, or nation, right?
Not just that, but affection that if we don't understand it in a spiritual perspective, we're going to be hanging on to that and not hanging on to Krishna's feet at the time of death. We're thinking, oh, my wife can save me, my spouse can save me, my kids can save me. And that's the dwelling point of our meditation. Now, it should be, but if that's the all in all, then it becomes even more complicated, because oftentimes families don't work out as planned,
Well, we mentioned that there are two issues with this, with this materialistic family life. That one fault of it, one problem with it, is that we see externals, these other people, as the source of our happiness, when they're really not. They're only the source of some kind of temporary, fleeting happiness. And then the other thing was
fleeting happiness back there.
And the other was
back there. She's my fleeting happiness.
Well, we can talk about that, and we have talked about that. It's if you're not seeing her as your source of happiness, but the two of you are pursuing spiritual happiness together, then the relationship works. But the other thing was that we limited our affection for a small group of people, right? So these are kind of like the limitations or the problems, the faults, the flaws with materialistic household life. So here it's saying that, it's natural that we desire to be connected, but instead we jump into this mirage. Instead of swimming in the ocean, if we're fish, instead of swimming in the ocean, you brought up the fish analogy, right? Yep. Or well, I guess it's brought up in the Aquatics. So just as fish are naturally in the ocean, but if they jump into a mirage, they're going to be flapping around very soon, like suffering. And here the illusory water is materialistic household life. That's where I'm searching for the
desire for lasting pleasure, which is inherent in all of us in a temporary world. It's just like, this is where everything goes wrong. I want lasting pleasure. That seems reasonable. It's a temporary world. Everything that I'm embracing, falling in love with, reaching for, just dissolves.
Now it shares this thing at the end, Rona, that says it's just like a young, low-class couple.
Oh, yeah.
Well, those couples.
I've seen them around.
And here,
couples.
By low class.
Some of the couples on the show might have been those at one point in time when they were younger.
Or a low-class couple. But here, again, that's kind of language that I think on our Western postmodern ears, is a little harsh. But just by low class, just literally what it's meaning is like it's a lower category, and specifically here, it's speaking to those that are lacking knowledge, that are lacking insight into life.
That's a nice way to put it.
Yeah, so it's a lower category of understanding.
There is an idea of classes. And the classes, when you become civilized, when you can control your senses, when your body doesn't own you, when your mind doesn't own you, when you can control your senses, when you have certain type of ethics and attitude and behaviors, you become of a higher culture. That's not you can't.
Yeah, and you can grade it.
Comes
in gradations.
And if you don't like it, and there is a difference when you have unrestricted sense gratification. When you have when you take commitments cheaply, etc., then it becomes low class.
Earlier, a few verses back, we heard that verse from Prahlad when he said, may there be, how did it go? I'll pull it up. May there be,
all good fortune.
Yeah, I think that was it actually. May there be good fortune throughout the universe. This is Prahlad's prayer. May all hostile persons be pacified.
Oh, good.
May all living entities become calm by practicing bhakti yoga. For by accepting devotional service, what will happen? They will think of each other's welfare. And when we talk about a high class person, it has a lot to do with that. You know, like a
It's
lot
got
of
nothing to do with
etiquette.
your outfit.
Yeah,
Like
or
look at him, he's high class.
or
Or
your
the hotel he
economic
stays at.
status,
Or yeah, or
your the family you were born in. That's not what he's talking about when he's talking about like low class or high class. High class means that, you know, we see a lot of etiquette is designed around this, that you're actually sensitive to the experience of others. You know, that kind of makes you a high class person. A
Sure.
low class person is crude.
Crude,
They're insensitive
obtuse.
to others. Yeah. Yeah. So here he's saying this is like a low class couple. They're lacking knowledge. And Prabhupada, he kind of writes a little bit about this, as well as Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. But why don't you read Prabhupada's commentary? Why don't you get started with this, Rogan?
It's 13.
Yeah, 13.
All right. Although crocodiles are very fierce animals,
Yeah.
they are powerless when they venture out of water onto land.
You got that, Raghunath? You can take a crocodile if it's on the land.
I wouldn't
right?
quite say they're powerless. Ever see an alligator? They're fast.
This is a crocodile.
Or a crocodile. Crocodiles are fast.
They got strong tails, from what I understand.
They can jump. They
Really?
Can, yeah, and they can shoot themselves out of the water to catch
Okay.
birds.
But they're relatively powerless. They don't have the same kind of power they have when they're in the water.
They can't jump on
They
land.
got to get back to the water.
Maybe they can't jump on land. Okay, I made that up.
It's the
They gotta get back.
alligator that lives on the land and the crocodile that's in the water?
No, one is sea. Crocodiles are seawater. Alligators are freshwater.
Oh, okay.
So the
So this
crocodiles they
crocodile-
have like in the. Anyways, let's just keep.
But they got to get back into the water, right? It's like,
Well, that's where they get their power. That's where they get their power rolls. They clamp and they just start rolling. You ever see that? They just
I think I
roll
have.
their prey until the prey is like, "What the heck? Oh no!" I
Okay.
hate. Oh my god, that's so scary. I saw this guy get clamped on, and the guy
on
and he
Instagram?
started- Instagram, yes.
Yeah, okay. You
Anyway,
didn't see a guy. You saw a clip of a guy.
I saw a clip of a guy. Yeah, he's a guy. I didn't see it in person.
All right. Although crocodiles are very fierce animals.
Although crocodiles are very fierce animals, they are powerless when they venture out of the water onto land. Sort of. When they are out of water, they cannot exhibit their original power. Yes.
Okay. That
Yes, we're going to go with that. Similarly, the all-pervading supersoul, Paramatma, is the source of all living entities. And all living entities are part and parcel of him.
Okay, that's interesting, right? Because he's saying our water is our connection with the Paramatma. And it said that he lives in us, we live in him, right? So like when we're connected and feeling that connection to God who is everywhere, we're swimming in the water. When we're disconnected to that, we're flopping on the land.
When the living entity remains in contact with the all-pervading Vāsudeva, the personality of Godhead, he manifests his spiritual power. So true, huh?
How will that power manifest, Raghunath? Like a person that's connected, how is it manifesting?
It manifests in anxiety melts.
Okay.
Anxiety melts. It'll take away some of your anxiety. It give you more clear vision. You'll prioritize your life. You'll become a little bit more peaceful, a little bit more joy. You'll have an inner joy without going out to get joy. Like, let's do this, you know?
Yeah, I think you'll walk through this world kind of with like a higher kind of spiritual dignity, right? Because you're not a fool for the world.
Yeah, you're not going to fall for that again.
Yeah, you're not making a fool of yourself, chasing after things that are disappearing left and right, becoming upset about it, becoming upset with other people, running around just like you're a joke. No, now you're connected. So your spiritual power, and on a deeper level, you know, you're the more esoteric level, you're experiencing deep spiritual ecstasies. Right?
It becomes, you know, when a person is an addict and they get over, and not get over their addiction, but they've learned, like, nope, I don't go there. Not today, Satan.
Now
Like,
you could begin to exhibit some power.
It becomes a type of liberation. You feel, now I'm free.
Okay.
I'm free again.
All right, start that sentence again. The personality, read that sentence again. When the living entity.
When the living entity remains in contact with the all-pervading Vāsudeva, the personality of Godhead, he manifests his spiritual power, exactly as the crocodile exhibits its strength in the water.
Rolling
them.
Okay.
In other words, the greatness of the living entity can be perceived when he is in the spiritual world, engaged in spiritual activities. Many householders, although well educated in the knowledge of the Vedas, become attached to family life. They are compared herein to crocodiles out of the water, for they are devoid of their spiritual strength. Their greatness is like that of a young husband and wife who, though uneducated, praise one another and become attracted to their own temporary beauty.
Sometimes two couples the couple they get into each other.
You're so beautiful. Marriage just calls me a bag of flesh. Hey, you bag of flesh and blood. We got to keep it real.
And then Prabhupada, he says, this kind of greatness.
This kind of greatness is appreciated only by low-class men with no qualifications.
Okay. Now, Vishwanath Chakravarti also writes about this, okay? On his commentary on the same verse.
What does he say?
So it's similar.
Vāsudeva's reading from another great master's commentary that lived a few hundred years ago.
He writes, does one see any greatness in persons in household life who have scriptural knowledge, good family, but devoid of bhakti? Yes, but they are the object of laughter. The reason is given. Some type of fish gives up the water and wanders onto the bank looking for pleasure.
What happened?
You muted me, Raghunath?
I muted you. I muted you by mistake. I'm sorry. Can you read that again? I was like, what happened? Why does he stop speaking?
Does one see any greatness in persons in household life who have scriptural knowledge, good family, all that, but they're devoid of bhakti? Yes, but they're the object of laughter. The reason is given. Some types of fish give up the water and they wander on the bank looking for pleasure. He ends up half dead. When you're fish out of the water, you're a mess, right? Similarly, the person who rejects the Lord wanders around in this world and is half dead. He is not great. This is relating to the verse that we read yesterday, right? Like, do you have good qualities if you're disconnected? If he is known as a great man in this world, it is the greatness of youth seen in young couples. The attraction between the youthful couple is not there in an elderly couple or in two babies. Because of youth, the two persons worship each other with cloth and ornaments.
It's a great intoxicant, isn't it?
Yeah, this is not so for old people. Yeah, you're in a state of intoxication, you're in a state of bewilderment.
All the senses work at their best.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Your skin is perfect, your body's perfect, you're at the most attractive time of your life. Your body doesn't smell when you're a teenager. You know that? Actually, maybe it does. No, it does. I forgot that. Strike that. But your appetite is great. Your sexual appetite is great. Everything, all those senses are strong, ready to go. I can barely eat anything. I get to a certain age, you just can't eat that much anymore. Yeah. We eat we need so little to sustain ourselves.
Yeah, and when people are in that kind of there's some French term for it, I forget, but when you're in that like bewilderment of love, like that.
Martine, what's the French term? Put it on the board,
yeah,
Martine.
Like when you're
bewilderment of love. She's like, je ne sais pas.
When you're in that really deep love where you're just you're just totally absorbed in that other person, and you say all kind of things that like the outside observer can just see right through, like you
silly kids,
your infatuation. Yeah. It's just like others are like, yeah, you're there now and you'll come out the other end. And we see this, you're just kind of lost right now.
Yeah. There's something beautiful about a long-term marriage. It's like yourself, like Martine, like people have been married for 20 years, 30 years, 40. There's like, we don't even do Satvaguna anymore. No one does Satvaguna. It's a rare thing. That was a thing that everybody did. You grow old with a person. You go through all those stages of romance when everything was exciting and you're bubbly, right? And then you get a little wiser and you realize love means something more. And when you're in that,
we go through midlife crisis now.
We go through midlife crisis. What do I do with my life? I'm getting older. But when you actually with a person through all those phases of life and you're cultivating knowledge, you become sober as you get older. It just comes with you.
Well, this next paragraph of the commentary, Raghunath, Prabhupada begins to speak about how that was built in socially, how society was designed to facilitate this letting go of the illusion. to read it?
Yep. Everyone therefore should seek shelter of the Supreme Soul, the source of all living entities. No one should waste his time in the so-called happiness of materialistic household life. In Vedic civilization, this type of crippled life is allowed only until one's 50th year. You hear that, people?
Get serious.
When one must give up the family and enter into the vanaprastha, independent retired life for the cultivation of spiritual knowledge, or sannyas, the renounced order in which one has completely taken shelter of the personality of Godhead.
Okay, so there's that idea of vanaprastha where husband and wife may continue to live together, but they're done with business, they're done with money, they're done with sex, they're done with all these things. Right?
And they're just very, very focused on reality now.
Yeah.
Getting back in the water, getting back in the water.
Yeah, earlier in their, like when they first got married, oh, we're gonna work and earn money and make our house just the way that we want it. We'll design it, and so much energy. We're gonna create the perfect space. You know, they're looking in the magazines or the websites about
Pinterest
decor, different
my Pinterest
palettes.
board goes stupid. Look at my
Pinterest.
patio Pinterest board.
And they get into all this stuff, and then sexually and romantically, they're all excited about that, and it's so much energy and attention and thought and mental energy is going in that direction. Vanaprastha means that's done. We recognize, we went through it. Well, hopefully we grew through it. Now we're letting go of it. We're not under the illusion that is life and that's what it's all about. No, we let go of it now.
Everybody just unfollowed us and our show just radically dropped.
This is the medicine. It's like because
the idea is it's not like it's when we say it's done. It's like the idea is like we want peace. We want we don't want to
higher things.
We want it's exhausting. The material it's exhausting. We want a little bit more peace as I get older. And we understand. We want to cut back. Even my friends that are into business think I got to do a little bit less now. I've been trying to expand my whole life. Now I'm going to pull it back. What's more essential?
Well, you're talking about the modern application. I'm talking about the tradition, right? In the tradition,
okay. So there is a tradition. There is an ideal, and then a lot of us.
Then you have to apply those principles.
How to apply those principles for what's real, and what's real is sometimes people get married when they're 50. Sometimes people are getting married, or they have a kid later in life, and they're dealing with raising a child.
And in the tradition, you would have had those kids when you're in your early 20s. They would be grown up by the time you're 50, and they would be supporting you, so you don't have any bills to pay anymore.
So the Vedas give some framework of an ideal. If you don't fit into that ideal, don't beat yourself up about it, by the way. We're just extracting what we can, what is useful, what we can apply. Take that and run with it. And those are the source of a lot of questions on Q&A day. We do Q&A day every like, okay, this isn't working out. My partner is not on a spiritual path at all. Or this is not working out. We had a child later in life. Or I got this job where I have to, do something horrific at the job. Or my boss, whatever it is. How to apply all this stuff in the modern world. That's what sort of this podcast is about, I'd say.
All right, Raghunath. Thank you. Now, the last verse coming from Prahlad, he's going to say, if we pursue happiness outside, if we're a fish and we're pursuing happiness, fulfillment, etc., outside of the water,
great hope.
What it manifests as, how it manifests. And there's a checklist here, Raghunath. There's a checklist. All right. We can see if diving into material life, material family life, all the relationships, all that, it's going to give a checklist of where it likely leads if it's done with materialism as our lens.
It's such a great analogy. Just imagine the fish just flopping onto the beach thinking, I just got to go further. Just try harder. You can do it. No, there's nothing flopping here on the beach. You're just going to flap around. Therefore, O demons, this is text 14. Therefore, O demons. Did he really call them demons?
Well, because he probably called them Daityas, right?
Okay. Okay. So
it's the dynasty. He's referring to the dynasty.
He's referring to his dynasty. When we hear demon, we think of a little evil. I think of those little devil hot stuff tattoos. little demons,
Okay.
little pitchfork. Therefore, O demons, give up the so-called happiness of family life and simply take shelter of the lotus feet of Lord Nrsingadev, which are the actual shelter of fearlessness.
And here comes the
Entanglement in
checklist.
family life. Huh?
Here comes the checklist.
Checklist, ready? Entanglement in family life is the root cause of material attachment. Indefatigable desires. My desires never get tired. Moroseness, right? And from
Check.
either getting your desires or not getting your desires, because that's another one. Sometimes you get your desires and you're like, that wasn't enough. How can we do it different? How can we spice it up? Right? Or we just don't. Sometimes we have desires, we just don't get those desires. And that's another type of frustration.
Right.
Sometimes we get them fulfilled and we're frustrated, and sometimes we don't get what we want. I have these dreams and these hopes, and now look at me. Right. And then therefore comes this other one, a moroseness.
Oh, this is very interesting. And the next one?
When I also don't get it, I get frustrated. I get angry.
Angry.
Yeah.
Well, you know, if we go back to our nugget, Raghunath.
Yeah.
And C.S. Lewis was saying he was speaking to unfulfilled desire, right?
Yeah.
And he said, if I find in myself a desire which no experience in this world can satisfy, then he provides a way of looking at it. But he says there's 3 ways of looking at it. Okay. So the first way he calls the fool's way. And this relates to the moroseness that's mentioned here in this text. He says the fool's way is that you put the blame on the things themselves. Oh, this world sucks. Oh, this world is just, all people are bad. I hate people. This world, you what is it? What they say? Life sucks and then you die or something like that. It's just that you have this kind of morose attitude. He said the second way is the way of the disillusioned, quote unquote, sensible man. And you know what these also relate to? These also relate to karma, jnana, and bhakti, right? That the first way is the way of the karmi. Satisfaction lies in the things of in this world. I'm trying to find it. The way of the disillusioned, quote unquote, sensible man, the second way, he says, is they soon decide that the whole thing is a fraud. This whole world is a place of suffering. You'll never find satisfaction. And it says, and he represses that part of himself which used to cry for the moon.
Ooh, I like that.
Right? Like you can look at the moon and say, I want, and that goes to another analogy, right? This fish out of water is a great analogy. Another great analogy is like the child crying for the moon.
Reaching for the moon, which he can never actually attain. So the mother has to create. I've seen this happen. The mother creates a bowl of water. And
she creates a bowl of water?
She creates a bowl of water. The mother gets a bowl of water so the kid can see the reflection of the moon and therefore like play with the moon.
Oh, yeah, or hold it right in their own hands.
Like I'm holding the moon.
So
we're like children reaching for the moon. It's something that's it's not natural. It's not obtainable.
Or imagine it as a mirror, Raghunath, right? Like a little mirror in the hands. Oh, I have the moon in my hands. The child may become very excited for some time, right?
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I wanted to hold the moon. The mother sees the dissatisfaction, provides the reflection.
Sure.
For some moment the child can become excited. But then the nature of the material, you drop the mirror and it shatters. Now the child, from one moment the child was dissatisfied, the next moment the child's jumping around and, oh, this is so ecstatic. And in their ecstasy, they drop the mirror. Now they're morose again, right?
Right, just like the blue jay we kept on having this bird fly into our window. I was like, this dumb bird. He's just, I understand. We clean the windows too well, or something like that. But I started researching it, and
your cleanliness is your fault. You are
cleanliness is my fault again. We're laughing because we know. But what happens is the blue jay is seeing his reflection and he thinks it's another blue jay trying to attack, and so he's attacking himself.
Oh yeah,
this is us
really
in the material
ridiculous.
world. Not only our joys and our hopes and aspirations are leaving us morose, we're also creating extra fears, extra extra enemies.
Yeah, for out of illusion.
Out of illusion.
Yeah, right. So he gave the 3 ways, right? The first one was the fool's way. Oh, this sucks, that sucks, they suck. The second way was the disillusioned man that says the whole world is not designed for my satisfaction.
They just get bitter at the world. They get bitter at the world. I met people like that.
Yeah. And they repress that part of them that was crying for something more. There's no point for crying for something more. There is nothing more.
And unless you have Krishna with you, it's very real that we'll end up like, oh man, the good old days. You live in lamentation and why didn't I make that choice? And if I only did it differently.
That's the fool's way. Yeah.
That's the fool's way. Why? And you suffer with that moroseness, that sadness. And the thing is, as you embrace Krishna and wisdom, as we age, we start to see Krishna took that away. That was a blessing. Thank God for that. And this is supposed to usher me towards this.
Oh, what, Raghunath, you're thinking like C.S. Lewis here.
Yeah.
Yes. Here he goes. He says, this is the fool's way. He goes on all his life thinking that if only he tried another woman or went to a more expensive holiday.
Why did I let that go? If I invested in this business instead, if I bought that real estate, why didn't I get that real estate when it was offered to me? Now it's worth so much. We can't even afford that.
Yeah, he says so a more, another woman, a more expensive holiday or whatever it is, then this time he would really catch the mysterious something that we were all after. Right? That's the fool's way. Right? The disillusioned, sensible man says, no, this whole thing is a fraud. You're never going to find any happiness. You're desiring for having, you'll never, he says, but the third way, he calls it the Christian way, right? We might call it the bhakti way.
Yeah.
Is what he said earlier, that if there's experience that I can't, if there's a desire within myself that I find no experience in this world can satisfy, it's indicating something. It's a signal, right? That I'm out of the water, that I'm a fish out of the water, but there is water. I need to get back in it. So we'll feel morose like the fool. We'll feel angry, perhaps, like the disillusioned man. And the checklist continues, Raghunath.
Okay.
Text
anger,
14.
right? We get angry. That's another thing that we get when our desires get frustrated. We feel despair.
Oh man.
Oh God.
Well, look at me.
I'm a mess. And then fear, then anxiety. Fear. Will I ever get anything I want? Will I ever get my desires fulfilled?
Yeah, I'm going to suffer. There's more suffering coming.
More suffering's coming. It's just like, oh my God. There's nothing worse than worrying about something for a year or 2 years, and it just stays in your mind like this. And it's like, and sometimes you worry about it and it never happens. It never happens, but I've invested so much mental energy in worrying about it. It's such a cheater, fear. And then what's gonna happen? So fear, and another one is, and the desire for false prestige. There's another checklist that you get when you're engrossed in material attachment.
You know that there's that politician that just lied like crazy. I mean, the politicians generally lie, but a
politician lied. What are you talking about?
But he's like, you've met, because I know we've met. You both of I have met some pathological liars. Like really,
we've got a couple good pathological liars.
Some real stories.
They're expert.
I can tell. I know this one
Some of the funniest stories I have are from pathological liars I've met.
I'm not going to mention names.
Oh,
but once I was a temple president, and there's this one person that was a pathological liar. They'll say anything.
They'll say anything.
And so first he said that he was a disciple of Prabhupada. He wasn't, and I disproved that. and then he had an explanation to kind of try to explain that away, and then he had this whole,
in a dream.
He had this whole history, and I was trying to figure out who are you, and I was asking him questions, and I was getting these different answers, and over time I was like kind of picking. Then eventually, what I found out was that he was actually an ex-convict.
Okay, there it goes.
And the crime was, I won't say what it was, but it was really actually
Atrocious.
It was atrocious. And then
You're lucky he didn't kill you.
when I called him up on that, when I called him out on that,
You called him on his crime?
you see, even the whole thing about the Prabhupada disciple, he kind of pulled in like a history of child abuse or something like that. That was the reason for it or something like that, you know, which was also untrue.
Right.
Then he said that, then I found out he was an ex-convict. He said, well, actually, I was in jail undercover.
only pathological lie would say that.
And I said, well, so if I check, you know, I can. He says, well, the warden does. You can't. The warden can't know about this. None of the guards can know about this. No one would know about this, you know, because I was actually in there checking out them. You know, or what? You know, it was like
This is something I would say in a joke.
Yeah, but pathological liars will do that.
They're so good.
And now
I knew a guy
Yeah.
that you know a guy too. He pulled somebody. He had one of those lights. Those police lights. He took it out of his car and put it on his roof and pulled somebody over.
Oh, those kind of on the car.
And was pulling somebody over, giving them a ticket.
Yeah.
And a cop came.
Oh man.
And arrested him for
impersonating a police officer.
Impersonating an officer. Like this type of crazy we're talking about.
And now there's this politician who actually got elected, but everything he said was like his historical things about his life where he would just entirely concocted. And of course, it's all going to be found out. When you're in that state, you'll lie and you'll think, I'll get away with it. I'll just tell the next lie. And then eventually, but you know, that desire for false prestige. Oh, if only I were, you know, a congressman, I'd get such prestige, and, you know, but that becomes, you know, that just leads to moroseness as well. Right?
People are crazy.
I'm flopping around.
Oh, so hard to trust people. Don't date anybody, people. I'm just going to put that out there. Scared. Don't be careful who you date. There's crazy people out there that look really normal. They seem really normal for like 6 months.
Oh, Krishna. Okay, let's I think it's time for Mara.
Mara.
Mara, what you got? We don't get Mara as part of the thing because she's sitting off back there now. She's like,
yeah, you got to be eager, ready to pounce, Mara.
When she wasn't there, she had her own microphone. She was like right there. It's like, you know, what happened to those days?
Shrubbing them scarves.
It's all about the scarves.
Are you going to bring some shrubbing them scarves to Rath Yatra, madam?
Maybe. Unless I sell them all at Cindy's retreat.
You should make some Jagannath Puri style scarves.
Yeah, what does that mean?
You know, like those colors that they use, the yellow and the red. You know, like that. There's a town called Pipoli where they design all that stuff, that Orison style. Yeah, it'd be pretty cool. Mara's like, oh yeah, whatever. Look, don't tell me how to make scarves, okay?
Thanks for that. Next.
All right, back to our takeaways now. Fulfilling our desires doesn't satisfy us.
Okay. Yeah.
Don't.
Your mind is totally elsewhere right now. You don't even know what.
Thinking of like
you're taking the mic towards yourself, but you don't know anything what to say because
I'm just thinking of like these movies.
Pathological liars.
Pathological liars. What was that movie? Famous one where the woman was crazy. Single white female. Never heard that one. No, I was thinking of another one. She's like a crazy murderer. Or no, she stalks the guy. She was very beautiful and lovely and stuff like that. And the guy was like, it started becoming like really creepy. She became really creepy. Fatal Attraction. That's it, Jim Wood. Thank you. Yes. Before you date anyone, before you get on Tinder,
watch that film.
Before you get on Tinder, before you get to eHarmony, before you go to J-Date, people, you watch Fatal Attraction.
Okay, thank you.
Get it recommended by a friend. Get a person recommended who's known the person for years. Okay. Do I even know you?
Just allow Raghunath to arrange your marriage. That's just leave it there.
Back to our takeaways.
Back to our takeaway.
We are made for another world.
Oh, okay.
I love that. All right.
We innately desire spiritual connection.
We do.
We innately, yeah.
We're searching for eternal happiness in a temporary world.
Okay.
ooh. That's like a lyric. Was such a happiness.
It's not, Raghunath. You don't have to sing it because it's not a lyric. It was a takeaway.
High class is sensitivity to all.
Okay. Yeah.
Manifest our spiritual power like a crocodile rolling its prey.
Oh, in the water.
Roll 'em.
Extract what we can from the Vedic framework.
Extract it.
Lousy t-shirt, but yeah.
Life isn't just our Pinterest board.
Okay.
Patio Pinterest board.
Uh-huh.
Embrace wisdom and understands Krishna's hand in everything.
Are you on Pinterest, Vāsudeva? Can
No.
I follow you?
I don't need to quite get Pinterest, what it's all about.
Ooh, it's great. You get good ideas. I even follow Shalagram Sheila's on my Pinterest.
I started a Bhakti Center Pinterest thing at one point, but it just kind of died out. It's probably still up.
Probably is.
And
Yeah.
That's it. It better be something good.
yeah, we're all fish. Get back in the water.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, there wasn't a better one there. There was something like flapping. We're fish flapping desperately. What
You're
was
always
that one?
dissatisfied. Raghunath, there is a world where all the takeaways are perfect mugs and T-shirts. It exists
There-
because you desire it.
How about too many weirdos? There's too many weirdos. Laura Marcos, take away.
Too many weirdos.
Yes. Single
Can't
forever.
hear the music.
Laura Marco. Oops. Sorry, Laura. I really emphasized yours because there was no music. There we go.
There we go.
Let's see. What other we got for takeaways? Chief Pag said, I told Lori that I had a dream. She gave me a red, yellow, and black knitted scarf this morning. And now we are talking about Jagannath-style scarves.
You see,
That's a Christian miracle.
Mara, that's a sign
That's a sign.
from Lord Jagannath
Got it.
directly.
Okay. Knit that scarf. I'm looking for more takeaways on the board that you might have missed, Mara. Thanks for everybody joining us. I'm reading the board. Life's a Bitch by Jim Wood. That's a classic. All right, forget it. Thanks everybody for joining us. Another great day. Another Srimad Bhagavatam in the books, on the books, around the books.